So what if you could start training today for the last decade of your life? That is the incredibly powerful idea at the very heart of Dr. Peter Audio's book, Outlive. Today, we're going to break down his blueprint for not just adding more years to your life, but, and this is the key, adding more life to those years. Right from the jump, the book hits you with this really provocative challenge to how we think about health. Attia says, our modern medicine is very good at helping you die slowly, but it is not good at helping you live healthily. And that quote just sets the entire stage, doesn't it? I mean, yeah, we're living longer, but is the quality of those extra years really what it should be? And that brings us to maybe the single most important concept in the whole book, shifting our focus from lifespan to healthspan. Look, lifespan is easy. It's just the total number of years you're alive. But healthspan, that's the good stuff. That's how many of those years are spent in good health, feeling active, vibrant, and free from disease. Attia's whole philosophy is about making those two numbers as close as possible. Okay, so if we're going to build this new future, we first have to understand what's broken about our current approach. And Dr. Attia has this perfect analogy for it. He says we're all stuck playing a game of medical whack-a-mole. This table here just lays it all out perfectly. You see, most of us are living in the world of what he calls medicine 2.0. It's completely reactive. We just kind of wait for a disease to pop its head up, a bad lab result, high blood pressure, whatever, and then our doctors react trying to walk it back down with a pill or a procedure. Medicine 3.0 flips the entire board. It's proactive. It's all about preventing those problems from ever showing up in the first place. The whole goal shifts from just a long lifespan to a long health span. So if Medicine 3.0 is all about prevention, what exactly are we trying to prevent? Well, Attia argues that the vast majority of chronic diseases that rob us of our health span fall into four main categories. He gives them this epic name, the Four Horsemen. The whole strategy of Medicine 3.0 is to build such a strong defense that these guys can never even get through the gates. And who are they? Well, you know them. Heart disease, cancer, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, and metabolic dysfunction, which leads to things like type 2 diabetes. The idea isn't to get better at fighting them when they arrive. It's to make sure they never get an invitation. Okay, so we've identified the enemies. Now let's get to the really empowering part, the new playbook for actually defeating them. This is what Attia calls Medicine 3.0. All right, this right here, this is the absolute game changer. A heart attack, a cancer diagnosis, Alzheimer's. These things don't just happen overnight. The groundwork, the seeds of these diseases are planted decades before they ever become a real problem. The entire strategy is to stop playing defense at the finish line and start playing offense 20, 30, even 40 years earlier. With that game plan in mind, what's our number one weapon? What's the single most powerful tool we have in our arsenal? You might be surprised. Attia calls it the ultimate longevity drug. Yep, it's not a pill, it's not some fancy expensive biohack. Attia is crystal clear on this. Exercise is by far the most potent longevity drug, he argues. And the data backs him up, that physical activity is the single most powerful lever we can possibly pull to improve both health span and lifespan. It's the absolute cornerstone of this entire strategy. And if you need proof, just look at this data. It is absolutely staggering. This chart shows what happens to your risk of dying from any cause when you improve your cardiorespiratory fitness, which is measured as VO2 max. Just moving from the bottom 25% of people to below average cuts your risk in half. Go from the bottom to above average, and you slash that risk by 70%. The takeaway is just, wow. Statistically, being unfit is more dangerous than being a smoker. Let that sink in. But, just saying go exercise isn't enough, right? It's too vague. To be truly effective, Attia says our training has to be built on four distinct pillars. First is stability. That's the foundation for everything. It keeps you from getting injured. Second is strength, because keeping your muscle is just non-negotiable. Third is aerobic efficiency, which is all about building that endurance base. And fourth is anaerobic performance. That's where you push your limits to raise that all-important VO2 max. And to really drive home the importance of that second pillar, strength, just think about this amazing quote. Never in the history of human civilization has a 90-year-old said, "I wish I had less muscle." It's so simple, but it's profoundly true. Muscle is like your body's armor. It's your metabolic currency, and it's what protects you from becoming frail as you get older. Now, exercise is the heavy hitter, for sure, but it can't do the job alone. It's got to be supported by the other pillars of a truly healthy life. So next step is nutrition. And here, Attia really wants us to step away from the diet wars. The whole keto versus vegan versus whatever debate. The goal isn't to follow a dogma. The goal is to focus on your personal metabolic health. The big questions are you keeping your blood sugar stable? And are you eating enough protein to support all that muscle we were just talking about? Then we have sleep. And look, we all know we need it, but Attia stresses that quality is so much more important than just the number of hours you're in bed. Bad sleep isn't just about being tired. It wrecks your cognitive function, it weakens your immune system, it messes up your metabolism. Getting high-quality, restorative sleep, it's just not optional. It's a biological necessity. And finally, we get to what might be the most important pillar of them all. Because really, what is the point of having a super healthy body if you're miserable? Emotional health is the foundation that everything else is built on. Chronic stress can literally undo all the good work from your diet and exercise. So managing your stress and building strong relationships isn't some soft, fluffy idea. It's a critical part of your physical health. So how do we pull all of this together? Well, the final message of the book is really one of empowerment. It's about you becoming the architect of your own Healthspan blueprint. This all comes down to a fundamental shift in your mindset. You have to stop thinking of your health as something that just happens to you, like you're a passive bystander. You have to start seeing it as an active project. You are the engineer, you are the architect, and you have the power to design and build a healthier future for yourself, one decision at a time. And to make this whole idea feel really concrete and personal, Attia introduces this absolutely brilliant concept he calls the centenarian decathlon. So instead of vague goals like get healthy, think about the specific physical tasks you want to be able to do in your 90s. Do you want to be able to pick up your great-grandkid? Do you want to be able to lift your own carry-on into the overhead bin? Get up off the floor by yourself? You start training for those things today. And that leaves us with the final powerful question to really think about. You are in training right now for the last decade of your life. So what events are in your centenarian decathlon? Answering that question is the first real step to building a life that's not just long, but a life that is truly, deeply worth living.